Welcome to today's video. Together, we'll explore the differences between the characters in the Titanic film and the real people behind them. From Captain Edward John Smith, the leader of the ill-fated ship, to renowned passengers like Margaret Brown and John Jacob Astor IV, and even fictional characters like Jack and Rose. Each story offers a fascinating perspective on the Titanic tragedy. How accurately did the film portray these figures? And where does cinematic creativity take over? Join us as we uncover the answers, because surprising truths are waiting for you. Jack Dawson, the charming and romantic poor artist, portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio, is one of the most iconic and beloved fictional characters in cinematic history. There was never a real Jack Dawson listed among the actual passengers of Titanic, but the creation of this character brought a fresh perspective to the legendary ship's story. Jack embodies not only romantic love and freedom, but also represents dreams and the yearning to transcend class barriers. Through his vivid gaze and artistic soul, Jack immerses audiences into the world of the working class, where joy is measured not by wealth but by freedom and passion. Though entirely a creation of screenwriter James Cameron, Jack left an indelible mark with his message. True love can overcome all obstacles, whether societal prejudices or the greatest tragedy in history. Jack Dawson may not have existed in real life, but his story and spirit will undoubtedly live on in the hearts of fans forever. Captain Edward John Smith, portrayed by Bernard Hill, is depicted in the film as a symbol of loyalty and great responsibility. On screen, he appears calm and composed, though occasionally melancholic, bearing the heavy burden of responsibility when the world's largest ship faces an unforeseen disaster. The image of Captain Smith standing stoically on the deck, choosing to go down with the Titanic, has become a powerful symbol of sacrifice and honor. However, in real life, his story is not entirely as it is portrayed in the film. Historically, Captain Edward John Smith was an experienced mariner with over 40 years at sea, but he faced significant criticism after the tragedy. Some historians argue that he failed to act decisively in organizing the evacuation of passengers or controlling the ship's speed in an ice-laden sea. Even so, no concrete evidence exists to prove he made critical mistakes, and many still remember him as the captain who went down with his ship, a deeply symbolic act. In the film, Smith is romanticized as an embodiment of loyalty and calmness amid chaos, highlighting the legendary stature of the Titanic, where the lines between fact and fiction blur to create a story that forever resonates with audiences. Rose DeWitt Bukater, portrayed by Kate Winslet, is one of the most iconic fictional characters in cinematic history. A young woman from the upper class, Rose represents those trapped in the gilded cage of fame, status, and harsh societal expectations. She is forced into an engagement with Caledon Hockley, a wealthy but cold man, to secure her family's future, which is on the verge of collapse. This suffocating life leaves Rose feeling as though she is drowning in despair until Jack Dawson appears, bringing a new light into her world. Through her relationship with Jack, Rose not only finds true love, but also rediscovers herself. Jack helps her break free from the chains of class and prejudice, teaching her to live with passion, freedom, and determination. This liberation is not just the journey of one woman, but an inspiring story of overcoming societal pressures and finding personal value. Although Rose is a fictional character, her story resonates deeply with audiences because of its emotional authenticity and depth. Rose is not only a symbol of romantic love, but also an embodiment of inner strength, the longing for freedom, and the will to overcome all barriers. Her journey delivers a powerful message about love, freedom, and self-liberation, making her one of the most unforgettable characters to grace the screen. Margaret Brown, portrayed by Kathy Bates, is a real-life figure brought to life with vibrant colors in the film, where she is famously known as the unsinkable Molly Brown. On screen, Margaret is depicted as a strong, humorous woman, unafraid to confront the upper class, an image that instantly endears her to the audience. She exudes a carefree yet compassionate demeanor, offering support to passengers on the ship and actively participating in rescue efforts. In real life, Margaret Brown was an even more remarkable figure. A dedicated social activist and philanthropist, she not only survived the Titanic disaster, but also played a vital role in organizing aid for the survivors afterward. Her real-life persona carries even greater depth, embodying both courage and relentless dedication to her community, qualities the film captures only partially. On screen, Margaret is romanticized to add flair to the narrative, but the truth is that her life was already profoundly inspiring, surpassing anything the audience might imagine. Kaladin Hockley, portrayed by Billy Zane, is a fictional character crafted to create a stark contrast with the central couple, Jack and Rose. As Rose's wealthy and powerful fiancé, Cal embodies control, selfishness, and the oppressive pressures of the upper class in that era. With his polished appearance, deceptive charm, and ruthless nature, Cal represents a world where status and prestige are valued above love and human emotions. Cal is not based on any real historical figure, but is a creation meant to highlight the conflict between freedom and societal constraints, between the working class and the elite. From his ruthless actions, such as being willing to sacrifice Jack to protect his own honor, to his selfish concern for his survival, Cal is more than just an antagonist. He symbolizes the darker side of a society obsessed with wealth and power. Though entirely fictional, this character plays a pivotal role in adding depth to the narrative, making audiences not only despise him, but also reflect on the injustices of the upper-class world in history. John Jacob Astor IV, portrayed by Eric Braeden, is one of the wealthiest characters on the Titanic. In the film, he appears as a calm, composed, and refined gentleman, representing the upper class with a discreet demeanor. Although his role is not extensive, this depiction romanticizes his character, emphasizing the elegance and wealth of the elite during that era. However, in real life, Astor was a much more complex and remarkable figure. He was a businessman, inventor, and writer, as well as a controversial individual who married a wife 29 years his junior shortly before the fateful voyage. During the Titanic disaster, Astor was reportedly calm and gave up his seat on a lifeboat for his wife, demonstrating a sense of responsibility and courage. The film's portrayal captures only a small fragment of his multifaceted life, where he was not merely a symbol of affluence, but also a man with intriguing and thought-provoking aspects, deeply intertwined with history and tragedy. Joseph Bruce Ismay, portrayed by Jonathan Hyde, is a controversial figure both on screen and in real life. In the film, Ismay is depicted as a selfish and cowardly man who uses his power to secure a spot on a lifeboat, abandoning other passengers. This portrayal has turned him into a symbol of greed and moral failure amidst a profoundly tragic disaster. However, in reality, Ismay was a far more complex individual. As the chairman of White Star Line, he played a crucial role in promoting Titanic's design as the unsinkable ship. While Ismay did survive the tragedy, he consistently denied accusations of selfish behavior and later contributed to relief efforts for the survivors. The film's depiction of Ismay was dramatized for narrative impact, but in real life, he was both an ambitious figure and a victim of relentless public criticism, leaving behind a legacy marked by enduring controversy. Thomas Andrews, portrayed by Victor Garber, is one of the most beloved characters thanks to his dedication and noble character. In the film, he is depicted as the highly responsible chief architect of Titanic, deeply concerned for the safety and comfort of its passengers. When disaster strikes, Andrews emerges as a quiet hero, calmly guiding passengers to safety and offering advice to increase their chances of survival. The image of him standing silently in the first-class lounge, facing his fate as the ship sinks, is one of the most emotional moments in the film, capturing his courage and unwavering devotion. In real life, Thomas Andrews was indeed a highly respected man, described as humble and dedicated. Survivors of the tragedy recounted his relentless efforts to assist passengers, from directing them to lifeboats to finding life jackets for them. However, the exact details of his final moments remain unclear. While the film romanticizes Andrews' image, the truth is that he sacrificed himself during the disaster, leaving behind a legacy of a man with a compassionate heart and an unyielding sense of responsibility. Wallace Hartley, the bandleader on Titanic, portrayed by Jonathan Evans-Jones, is a real-life figure who has become a symbol of courage and dedication in the face of tragedy. In the film, Hartley and his band are depicted as unsung heroes, continuing to play music to calm passengers amidst the chaos. The image of him standing on the deck, violin in hand, playing "Nearer My God to Thee" as Titanic sinks, is one of the most poignant and tragic moments in the movie. In reality, Hartley did lead the band in playing until the very end, but the specific piece they performed in their final moments remains disputed. There is no definitive evidence that it was "Nearer, My God, to Thee." What is certain is that their actions provided a sense of calm during the pandemonium. The film romanticizes Hartley's story, but the reality of his sacrifice and bravery surpasses even what is portrayed on screen, leaving an everlasting legacy of fearless dedication in the tragedy of Titanic. Benjamin Guggenheim, portrayed by Michael Ensign, leaves a lasting impression in Titanic with his composure and dignity in the face of disaster. In the film, he is depicted as a wealthy businessman with remarkable poise, standing out with his iconic line, "We are dressed in our best and are prepared to go down like gentlemen." This image has become a symbol of courage and serenity in the final moments of life. In real life, Guggenheim was also remembered as a calm and collected man, though the details of his final actions are more complex. According to survivor accounts, he assisted women and children onto lifeboats before accepting his fate. The story of him changing into formal attire and preparing to go down like a gentleman is believed to have been romanticized to emphasize his bravery amidst chaos. Whether on screen or in reality, Benjamin Guggenheim stands as a symbol of dignity and courage during the Titanic tragedy, an image that remains unforgettable to audiences. Ruth DeWitt Bukater, portrayed by Frances Fisher, is a fictional character representing the societal pressures that weighed heavily on upper-class women in the early 20th century. As Rose's mother, Ruth constantly pushes her daughter to marry Caledon Hockley to secure the family's social standing and financial future, embodying a cold, controlling demeanor laced with underlying anxiety. Her actions stem not only from a desire for prestige, but also from a fear of losing security in a harsh, patriarchal society. While Ruth did not exist in real life, the character was created to reflect the conflicts between individual freedom and societal obligations. Ruth is not just a conservative mother, but also a symbol of a generation of women confined by outdated structures, evoking both anger and sympathy from audiences as they witness the tragedy of her struggles. And so, we've revisited the stories behind Titanic, where truth and fiction intertwine to create one of the most iconic films of all time. The characters, whether Jack, Rose, or Captain Smith, carry layers of deep emotion, partly reflecting reality, partly crafted to drive home powerful messages. But beyond all else, Titanic reminds us of life's fragility and the timeless lessons of courage and sacrifice. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to explore more fascinating stories from history and cinema. See you in the next video.